Twinkle, twinkle, little star,
He's alive!
Welcome to where the weird ones are.
Every time I speak, I want the truth to come out.
Powerful figures in Hollywood as well as powerful politicians who are in fact not human. They're reptiles or they're lizards or perhaps extraterrestrials.
I don't think it is a human. I think it's a Sasquatch.
Go ahead and run! Run home and cry to mama!
Let's get weird.
Well, howdy do, neighbors. Welcome to another Conspiracy Tuesday episode. I have Dayvid and Alex Shae with me today. We're going to get into some shit. It pertains to things that we all use today. So anyways, I'm going to let these two introduce themselves real quick. Alex, if you don't mind letting the good people know who you are and where they can find you if you want to be found.
Yeah, my name is Alex. I go by Alex Shae. I'm a photographer, abandoned explorer, historical building explorer. I want to say freelance researcher because I just do everything on my own. And yeah, if you want to check out my pictures or any of my research that I do, it's on Instagram at ASHAE_photography.
Noise.
Yes.
I will say I've been following Alex for a little bit. Her photography is phenomenal. When I think she was on fucking a couple episodes ago now. She told me that the pictures of Jason were of her son, and when I first looked at him, like now after you said that to me, I looked at him, I was like, yeah, that's a kid. But when I first looked at him, I didn't realize that it was a child. But yeah, they're done really well. So if you like photography, go check it out. But we also have my good friend Dayvid. He's been on the show numerous times now, so you should be pretty familiar with him at this point. But I will let him introduce himself for the new listeners, if there are any. So, Dayvid, if you don't mind letting the good people know who you are, what you do, and where they can find you, if you want to be found.
Yeah, my name's Dayvid from Down the Rabbit Hole. I have a page on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, X, YouTube. Good God, I'm everywhere. And my page is called Down the Rabbit Hole. Like I said, I share videos, paranormal videos that I find interesting, that I think are worthy to share, and pretty much it. I'm also the co-host of One Nothing podcast,
which is also a fantastic podcast. We're also doing something together tomorrow night, but the listeners aren't gonna
You're not gonna know about it till
this episode's not gonna come out until after. But
yay.
So have you guys ever heard of Louis Le Prince?
No.
I don't think so.
Louis Le who? Pepe Le Pew?
Prince. Yes.
Le Prince. Okay.
Yep.
No.
All right. Hold on, let me pull this up real quick. So, Louis Le Prince, he was born on August 28th in 1841.
Just had a birthday a few days ago.
Yep. He was a French artist and inventor of the early motion picture camera.
I think I know about this dude.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So, let me see. Let me refer to my notes.
He had a negative outcome at the end, didn't he?
Yes.
It was kind of a okay.
So he all
Mr. Edison.
right. Well, yeah. So we're gonna talk about Edison as well.
Mm-hmm.
But Louis, his father was an artillery major in the French army, and he spent a lot of time with his father's friend, who is named the hell Louis de Guerre or de War or something like that. It's Daguerre. So he spent a lot of time with this guy, and he received, because this guy is actually the pioneer of photography, regular photography. So he spent a lot of time with this guy, and he received lessons on photography and chemistry before he was even 10 years old. His education went on to include study of painting and in Paris and postgraduate chemistry, which provided him with the academic knowledge he utilized in the future, which would be for the motion picture camera. Le Prince moved to Leeds, England in 1866 after being invited to join John Whitley, a friend introduced by a former university lecturer. He joined Whitley Partners of Hunslet, a firm of brass founders making valves and components, which I assume like for plumbing and instruments and stuff, like all those thingy-majiggies. So in 1869, he married Sarah Elizabeth Whitley, which is John's sister, and she was a talented artist herself, I believe in painting, which is probably what allured him to her since he studied painting at the university. When in Paris during a honeymoon, Le Prince repeatedly visited a magic show, fascinated by an illusion with moving transparent figures, presumably a dancing skeleton projection at the Theater Robert Houdin, with multiple reflections of mirrors and focused on one point or a variation of Pepper's Ghost. Le Prince and his wife started their own school of applied art in Leeds. They called it the Leeds Technical School of Art, and became well renowned for their work in fixing colored photographs onto metal and pottery, leading them to being commissioned for portraits of Queen Victoria and the long-serving Prime Minister William Gladstone. Produced in this way, these were included alongside with mementos of the time in a time capsule manufactured by Whitley Partners, which was placed in the foundations of Cleopatra's Needle on the embankment of the River Thames. So this guy has made a name for himself at this point. He seems, from everything that I've read about him, he seems super intelligent and just asphyxiated on anything artistic. So in 1881, Le Prince went to the United States as an agent of Lacustre Walton, staying in the country along with his family once his contract had ended. Now, I don't understand what this agent thing is. Maybe it had something to do with art, but he became the manager of a small group of French artists who produced large panoramas. Panoramas, the long view of a scene, usually of famous battles. They were exhibited in New York City, Washington, D.C., and Chicago. During this time, he began experiments relating to the production of moving photographs, so film, like cinematic,
Naturally,
designing a camera that utilized 16 lenses, which was the first invention he patented. Although the camera was capable of capturing motion, it was It wasn't a complete success because each lens photographed the subject from a slightly different viewpoint. Thus, the image would have jumped about if he had been able to project it. So, like, basically taking pictures really fast. You
Think
know what I
of
mean?
you ever seen The Matrix?
Yes.
So they use this special camera thing where it would go around the actor, like when
Yes.
Neo was going back, and it would go
Yeah,
completely
it was
around.
like a
So it
little
was like
platform
several.
and they had a little arm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's when I hear that's what I think is something like
Thomas Edison had that little what he came up with was like this like pictures inside a circle
Yeah.
that. Mm-hmm.
and hit
It's
the
like a box, like a big box you could
yeah,
look into. That
yeah,
reminds me of there's a movie called House on Haunted Hill, not the original, but the second one. I think it was made in the 2000s.
the
The
remake, yeah.
Yeah, Dr. Price gets like stuck in one of those and it's playing it and it goes around in a circle, like almost kind of makes him go insane. But yeah, I
Yeah.
think about that box was really neat because people could just walk up to it and look in it with like kind of like a binocular and view photos.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's also it's a predominant feature of the Babadook in that movie too.
Yeah,
But it's more of a child's toy looking
that's
thing.
my kid's favorite movie, one of them.
Yeah. Yeah. It's fucking that actually kind of scared me after I watched it at night and then I didn't want to walk upstairs to my bedroom. I was also by myself. So, no kids. But so after LaPrince returned to Leeds in May of 1887, he built a single lens camera in so like in 87, that's when he started developing the single lens camera, and he was done with it in 1888. Exactly 100 years before I was born. And an experimental model was developed in a workshop at 160 Woodhouse Lane. Leeds used to shoot his motion picture films. It was first used on October 14th in 1888 to shoot what would become known as Roundhay Garden Scene, which is the very first ever motion picture, and it's only like 2.11 seconds long, and it's a sequence of his son Adolphe playing the accordion and a couple other family members walking about a garden, and I believe his grandmother was in the shot as well, which is an important detail for later. LaPrince later used it to film road traffic and pedestrians crossing the Leeds Bridge. The film was shot from Hicks, the ironmongers, now the British Waterways building, and on the southeast side of the bridge, and marked with a commemorative blue plaque. So, if this guy is essentially the father of cinematography, why isn't LaPrince a household name?
Because someone who would be known as the father of that had him eliminated, essentially.
Right, right.
So that's why.
Was he the guy that got shot?
He did not get shot.
He didn't get
Okay.
shot. But he was murdered. There's no doubt about that.
Okay, because there's
Can
somebody
you
that
prove it?
yeah, they said somebody tried to take Thomas Edison to like court,
Mhm.
and maybe it was 2 years after, maybe it was the guy's son, but somebody got shot and killed, and the murder was never solved.
Yeah. Oh shit.
Here's the thing: who has when it comes to something like this, like an invention or a murder, who benefits the most? That's who you have to look at. And who is known as inventing the motion picture there? Kevin, do you happen to have that handy?
Thomas Edison.
Whoa, interesting. Wow.
He's actually known for a few things. So
Right.
Thomas Edison was born February 11th, 1847. So he died in October 18th of 1931. I did not realize that this guy lived that long. He died in his almost 80 years old. But he developed many devices in the fields of electric power generation, mass communication, sound recording, and motion pictures. These inventions would include phonograph, the motion picture camera, and early versions of the electric light bulb have had widespread impact on the modern industrialized world. Which I recently went to Niagara Falls, got this sweet ass fucking hoodie, and they have this whole presentation about Thomas Edison, and that's what intrigued me on to this, because they talk about Nikola Tesla as well, which I'm pretty sure Edison stole things from him, because Nikola Tesla actually worked under Edison for a little while.
Right.
He was employed by him. So it's really interesting. And when they were doing this presentation, they also had Westinghouse and J.P. Morgan. And J.P. Morgan is a prominent figure in a lot of conspiracies from this time era, like the Titanic being one of them. So
Or his last minute, I'm not going, right?
Yeah. So it really enticed me to look into Edison for some odd reason, and then I found this LaPrince guy.
You know, the one thing that really bothers me with Edison, well, not the one thing. There's several things that bother me about that guy. But he had an elephant electrocuted.
Yes.
In public. That pisses me off, man.
Multiple animals, horses, all of that.
Why was that necessary? He should have electrocuted himself. I would have preferred that. Prove it.
He helped invent the electric chair, and he was supposedly against the death penalty.
What I researched, I did say it took him a while to agree to it.
Oh,
but
okay.
that doesn't really mean anything that someone took a while to agree to it. But then you go through with it, and then you use animals. I don't see how anyone can walk away from doing that to animals and like think, oh, okay, this is more humane for humans. We should do this.
Yeah. So, Edison was born in Milan, Ohio, but he grew up in Port Huron, Michigan, after the family moved there in 1854. He was the seventh and last child of Samuel Ogden Edison Jr. and Nancy Matthews Elliott. His family line is Dutch but they're from New Jersey. So like they're, you know what I mean? So they're settled roots in New Jersey, but they're Dutch. They migrated from, what is it, Denmark?
Mm-hmm.
Is that Dutch?
I believe so.
Or am I retarded?
No.
I don't know.
Netherlands, isn't that the Netherlands, Denmark, same thing?
Yeah, something like that.
You know, can I ask you a question, Kev?
Yeah.
If you can go back in time, and let's say specifically, you would see Thomas Edison, what would you do?
I feel like I would follow, like spy kind of thing. Like I don't think I would ever like talk to him right away. I feel like I would establish some kind of observation kind of thing. If I had a time machine and I could be able to observe things from this time era, I would follow him to see, like, because a lot of this stuff, like a lot of his inventions weren't actually his inventions. Like they were created by people that worked for him.
Right.
You know what I mean? But they're his inventions because they were made in his company and in the name of his company. So it's just like today you essentially work to make somebody else rich. That's what the workforce is, the blue collar thing. Unless you own your own business, you're making somebody else rich.
What about you, Alex? What would you do?
I kind of feel the same way about Kevin because all the research that I've done recently about this town that I live in, this lady told me that history is a puzzle. And that was like the least supportive thing she could have said because I was like, man, you're not helping, lady. But I think we would have just a different view on things if we knew how people like truly were. And their intentions and how they treated other people. Because how I see it, sometimes it's not what you know, because obviously he didn't know a lot of things, but he knew a lot of people who knew a lot of things. And that's a big key, I think, in his and then he was, I'm not saying he wasn't intelligent, but he was intelligent enough to go out and buy all these patents and secure his
legacy,
success, basically. And you know, these people who probably had great ideas, who may not have come from families that maybe had money or power or anything like that, they're just left to, you know, fend themselves. And that could be really hard when you don't have the right people to help you to get there. So yeah, I'd definitely be observing that guy, because I'm sure it was probably like, the more I find out about the history that I've learned in this town, is this gentleman who he was one of the most prominent people in this town that I'm researching, and I'm finding out he was not a great person. He was actually the complete opposite. And I could see why people would want to get rid of that history and kind of forget about that, but that's still a part of this town, and it affected this town. It affected how this town came to be, and where it's at right now. So I think history should definitely be preserved, and it should be preserved the best that it can. I love that we are all doing this and doing podcasts, because even if we don't know all the truth of everything, we're still putting pieces together for other people to go, maybe that wasn't right. Maybe I wasn't taught what the truth was when I was in elementary school or middle school, because they shoved Thomas Edison down everyone's throat in elementary school. I mean, that's just, he's the guy, but what did he really do?
If I had a time machine and I can go back in time and observe this guy, I wouldn't just watch him from afar. I would knee him right to the solar plex as soon as I saw him, and I would have a taser with me, and I would tase the shit out of him and then leave. That's what I would do. I think, yeah.
Invent.
You would,
there
David,
you go, buddy.
Definitely go back right before the elephant moment. And
Here you go, buddy.
That would be the moment.
Or after. Yeah, how's that feel? You like that? Does that feel good?
Andy did it on video.
I know,
like,
dude.
He made a film about it.
Poor Tesla.
And you know, I'm sure people back then probably thought, because I was reading a few things last night, and it was saying that people compared what they were doing almost like magic. Like they were doing things that were just not, I mean, I couldn't even imagine that. You go and you see all these lights lit up in a home, and you're used to, you know, lanterns and whatnot. So that must have been like crazy. But just thinking about harming animals, that just really makes me sad.
Yeah.
You know where the first city that received electricity is Buffalo, New York. And they generated power from Niagara Falls.
Oh, really cool.
Nice.
So or something like that. But that's where it started. Was Niagara? It was created in Niagara Falls, and they displaced it into Buffalo, and then eventually it was world renowned. So, but right here in America is where electricity and lights, other than fire, started, and that has gone worldwide at this point.
I think our world would be so different if Dayvid did go back and, you know, shut that guy, because maybe Nikola Tesla would like actually have been able to provide energy for everyone, and it
free
not
energy.
Be the world that we live in today. Like they shut down, they shut him down because of how he envisioned his bigger picture. Edison was like money, but he wasn't.
He was working on a time, I don't want to say time machine, but he was working on some sort of project right before he died that he thought would move you from one time to another.
Yeah.
And all of his research, when he died, penniless and broke and what have you, all of his research was confiscated by the government. And when I don't know if it's his children or his family or somebody was trying to get that from them, they only got so much. They didn't get all the boxes that were confiscated.
Donald
So
Trump's
there-
grandfather.
Yeah, I've heard of that story.
Yeah.
But I just think that there was so much that he had to offer, and there was so much research that could have benefited society that is somewhere in some stockpile, possibly being used now without our knowledge. Who knows?
Yeah. Yeah, I would agree with that. I think.
It's hiding away with all
Speculatively.
the other evidence that's at the bottom of the Smithsonian basement.
Yeah, it makes me think of like Raiders of the Lost Ark, where they put the Covenant in that gigantic room that's like a government facility and just put it on a shelf.
Yeah. There's a lot of fucking weird things. Like, the Washington Monument is weird. I mean, there's two other ones that are like it. I think there's one in the Vatican, like in the center of their property.
Yeah.
And then there's one in England. And there was at some point during the Civil War, it was seen that a bunch of like Confederate soldiers that were captured were brought to the monument that wasn't even finished yet, and it's speculated that they were hung inside of the monument. Speculative.
I
Allegedly.
didn't even know you can get in there. That's awesome.
Well, apparently you can.
Hmm.
Apparently you can, and you can go up an elevator to the top, but supposedly they use it to vanquish enemies.
Wow.
They take the elevator and they throw them overboard, and then they fall to the ground. I don't know. That's
an obelisk,
something
right?
that I heard.
Is that what that
That's a
Egyptian
conspiracy theory. Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you know Edison was like pretty much deaf? Did you know
Yes. Yeah.
that? So
Hard
he
of hearing
developed.
is what they said.
Yeah, he developed hearing problems at the age of 12. And they speculate that it was attributed to a bout of scarlet fever during his childhood, which caused reoccurring untreated middle ear infection. I don't know what middle ear. I know what an ear infection is, but what is middle? Is that like this, like where your eardrums are?
It's an ear that's right in your brain, right in the middle.
Gross.
Right where you see your third eye is right here. If you go deep in there, it's another ear.
Yeah.
His was infected, so obviously he couldn't use his.
Yeah. Hey, the Wild Wild West movie with Will Smith, the recreation, the remake?
Yes.
It makes me think of General McGrath with the fucking little thing in his ear trying to hear everybody.
That's so bad.
Did he ever invent anything for that? Did he come up with some sort of early?
If he had, it doesn't say.
You would think, since he's such a great inventor, that he would come up with something.
More visual stuff for some reason. Yeah. But modern, it's weird because a lot of modern historians have suggested that he may have had ADHD, and I'm like, I think almost everybody has ADHD at this point.
What's that?
Huh? Yeah.
Yeah.
What level do you have is what I need to know.
Yeah.
But
then I would body slam him really hard. That would be the last. Then I would take off, go back home, go back to my time. Of course, after I do all that, it creates a whole other timeline, right? It splits into something else, and he doesn't do this and he doesn't do that. I don't know if I go back to my normal timeline. Who knows? Who knows how that works?
All right. So I'll give you some more information here. Hold on a second. I lost my thought. So funny thing about Louis Le Prince is that he went to France to visit his brother, and they were going over some family estate stuff. So their mother died like 3 years prior to this visit, but they still had some things that they needed to tie up and whatnot. So, the plan was that he was going to visit, try to iron out some of the details there with his mother's estate. He stayed with his brother for a few days, but then the plan was to leave from his brother's house to go to Paris to visit some friends. And then from there, he was going to leave to Leeds,
On
where
a train,
his,
right? I mean, was it on a train by chance?
yeah, yeah. So he was going to back to Leeds to pick up his invention, which would be the camera, the motion picture camera, and then his final destination was New York, where he was going to give a live public presentation of his invention. So all of his friends are gathered in Paris waiting for him to get off the train. Everybody gets off the train. Train leaves. They're like, where the fuck is Louis? Nowhere to be found. So his friends and family would launch an exhausting search for Le Prince, but not one shred of evidence was found. And he was seen with a small briefcase, which was said to have his patents for the camera inside of it. So,
And that disappeared as well, correct?
yes, there's no record of his patents. Although it's known, I know there is a record of his patents, but if you don't have the physical copy, you can't, I don't know, something like that. But so he disappeared. So it would be September 16th, 1890. Many people, like I said earlier, credit Edison with the motion picture camera, even though the very first motion picture was the round hay garden scene, which was filmed by Le Prince. Also, in 1890, same year that Le Prince went missing, Edison had begun experimenting with a strip of celluloid film to capture moving images. Interesting. Which the first public display of these experiments was shown in May of 1891, a year after. So, but in actuality, the person who invented this camera for Edison was William Kennedy Dixon, who got no credit, zero credit. Edison, right after this, became a patent machine. You know how many patents this guy holds?
Yeah, a lot.
I'm going to say 194.
1,093 patents.
Wow.
All of his patents were, of course, often attributed to beating out his competitors. Seemingly, he'd do anything to be first in the invention field. But would he kill?
Yes.
We already know he kills elephants.
Yep.
Yeah.
Here's the question, though. Did he do it himself?
I don't think he would have. If he did do it, he didn't do it himself.
Right.
He most
I don't
likely
know,
hired.
You said 1888 where he disappeared. Is that what the year? And he was what?
1890.
So what? How old was Edison then?
How old was who? Edison?
Edison? Yeah. Was he young and spry, or was?
So he was old? He was in his 30s.
So he could have done it.
He could have.
It could have. He was young enough, but he probably hired somebody to do it. More than likely.
Yeah, he was 43 to be exact.
Okay. Still, at an age where it's possible. But I think not only did he hire somebody, he hired them to bring back all the patents, all the information, and it wasn't long after that he invented it. So, I mean, how would you do it if you didn't really know how to do it? You would have to get the information from the person who did it, which is he did this time and time again. Thomas Edison took from Nikola Tesla. He stole ideas from the guy who you said just now actually invented motion picture. So, this dude was. Yeah, he did.
William Kennedy Dixon didn't receive any credit until like recently, to be honest with you.
Wow.
So like during his life, during the time frame of his, he didn't like there was no. So he didn't receive like he got paid, obviously paid for working for Edison, but he didn't receive any accolades during his life.
So I'm curious, did that man die penniless and broke like Tesla did? Like the Prince, who was, I don't know that he was, penniless, the Prince, but he was snuffed out, and his life was taken from him. So how many other people from these other 1,000-something inventions were cut?
Yeah, I don't know. William Kennedy Dixon died 4 years after Edison died.
Oh shit! Wow.
So he was an old man. He was an old man, so he lived his entire life under the shadow of Edison, which fucking sucks.
Which was quite a shadow towards the end.
Yeah, he was an American like Thomas Edison, and he became employed by Edison at age of 18 in 1879. So from what I can see real quickly here of him, at 19 he pretty much worked for Edison in his entire life, it kind of looks like. So who knows how many other things this guy did for Edison. 1893, he invented the peep show machine, which is a continuous loop of film. And he made the fucking roundabout thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Huh. Interesting. Very, very interesting. So there's multiple conspiracy theories about what happened to Le Prince in 1890 that emerged around his disappearance, which included a murder set up by Thomas Edison, secret homosexuality, disappearance in order to start a new life, suicide because of heavy debts and failing experiments, and a murder by his brother over their mother's will. Non-conclusive evidence exists for any of these theories. But in 2004, in police archive in Paris was found to contain a photograph of a drowned man bearing a strong resemblance to Le Prince. It was discovered in the Seine. I don't know what that is. The river? Seine River. So, just after the time of his disappearance. But it has been claimed that the body was too short to be Le Prince. And apparently Le Prince was not super tall, but fairly. I think it's said to be that he was around 6 foot tall. And then this guy that was found in the river was a lot smaller than that. So, it's interesting, to say the least. So, obviously in 1880, like I said, Edison had begun his experiments. Le Prince's widow and son, Adolphe, were keen to advance Louis's cause as the inventor of cinematography. In 1898, Adolphe appeared as a witness for the defense in a court case brought by Edison against the American Mutoscope Company. This suit claimed that Edison was the first and sole inventor of cinematography and thus entitled to royalties for the use of the process. Adolphe was involved in the case but was not allowed to present his father's 2 cameras as evidence. Although films shot with cameras built according to his father's patent were presented. Eventually, the court ruled in favor of Edison, obviously, since Edison is known as the inventor today. A year later, that ruling was overturned. Oh, shit. Never mind. I spoke too soon. But Edison then reissued his patents and succeeded in control the U.S. film industry for many years. Yeah. So basically, he used money and power to shut down people.
Yep.
Seems to be the American
forward.
thing.
Yes. Yes. That's what we like to do over here. So yeah. That is that's that. I do think, in my opinion, I do think Edison had him set up in some kind of way. There will the prince's widow would communicate with his brother, and his brother would say that he did walk him to the train
Train
and
station.
watched
Yeah.
him get on the train and everything. But I mean, there was a lot of money tied up in their mother's estate, so could his brother have done it as well? Maybe. I mean, his brother didn't become rich and famous after this, so Edison did.
Rich and famous?
What's that?
Rich and famous?
Yeah, rich or famous.
Oh. I mean, possibility. You can't exclude that. But there's too many factors, I think, that pointed towards Edison, and that's the idea that he invented something that was already invented, right? That's one.
Yeah.
And he just wanted to be first at everything. That's basically it. And he would do whatever he could to make that happen. So
yeah,
I'm not mistaken. Le Prince's son may have met like a similar end.
You might be right. I think.
Is that the kid that got shot? I think that is.
So, I will say Adolphe also presented evidence that his grandmother was in the Roundhay film, which she died in 89, so a year after that short film, because Edison didn't start developing his camera until 1890. So the fact that there's already a motion picture with a woman in it that died before his development shows that that Le Prince was the original inventor. But Adolphe, the son, died in 1901. So that would be 11 years after.
Okay, then never mind.
So he was found dead of a gunshot wound to the head in the Point O Woods vicinity of Fire Island, New York. He had been shooting duck in the area. The official verdict was suicide.
Son of a bitch.
It's always suicide, supposedly.
Yeah, right.
So there wasn't anything going on, and you want to know what was going on 3 years prior? That was the lawsuits against Edison.
Okay, it was that, yeah.
That
is what I looked up.
So 1898 was the lawsuit that he was a witness for, and he was found shot in the head, and 3 years later.
The article that I read described that they never
28.
found who did it because they think someone did it that he didn't do it.
Right, but it's suicide.
Always.
Yeah, to the cops, right? It was suicide.
Yeah,
he was shooting ducks. He thought
everything.
What does this feel like? Bang! Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. How do you? First of all, let's see if it'll tell us where he was, where in the head he was shot.
It was probably 3 times to the back of the head. So
If you
Yeah, yeah,
if you're Edison and you wanted to shut him up, wouldn't it be in the mouth? Oh,
yeah.
wouldn't that be like, I want him shut in the mouth. Get as many teeth as you can.
It's not gonna tell me where in the head he was shot. Yeah. Oh well. I don't know. So it very well could be his face. So I don't know. I mean, to kill yourself with a hunting rifle or a shotgun is pretty hard unless you like sawed off the barrel, half the barrel. That way you can reach it. Because to actually get yourself in the head with a shotgun or rifle, you would have to do it from the front, and you would
It's
have to like
doable if you're
right.
very gifted with your toes. It's doable, but
Yes. Yeah.
highly unlikely.
Yeah. Very unlikely. So that's all the information I have on that. But
Well, Kevin, I don't know if you know this, but I opened a another page that I call DTRH underscore cinematic dot universe, which is all about movies.
oh really?
And yeah, I just post about movies. I love movies. I'm going to start doing reviews of movies. I've already done one
Yeah.
of Alien Romulus, which was a pretty good movie. But now with this information, I'm going to start pushing the Prince as much as I can. I'm going to start pushing the Kennedy guy that you were mentioning also, because
Yeah.
these guys deserve credit for this industry. They deserve their due. It's time to show them the respect that they actually deserve, and
Yeah.
denigrate that other son of a bitch that I would gladly knee in the solar plexus.
I
would
think
enjoy
the
that.
only thing that is 100% his invention is the light bulb. And maybe the phonograph, which is just the record player.
That he couldn't hear.
Yeah.
Wow. Good job.
You know, he spent a lot of his life like so he actually was like he used to sell newspaper along the trains at the train stations.
Mm.
And then at 15 he was a telegrapher, so Morse code stuff, and he would decipher all those. And then he invented like a two-way telegrapher. That was like his first invention, was to be able to receive multiple messages at once.
The man was talented. There's no doubt about that. He had abilities.
He was a smart guy.
He was very smart, but he had I don't even know what a compulsion, a need to be first, a need to be better than everyone else, and that's sad because it costs lives.
Being the seventh child. When you're the seventh child and you're fighting for attention your whole life, probably, especially in that time. But I could see how you would want to be the best you could be, being the last, and watching everybody else be successful before you and wanting to make your family proud. I could see how someone would probably do anything they could to get there.
Yeah.
Being the baby.
So there's 4 siblings out of that also includes him, so 3 other siblings and then him. So 4 of them were 4 out of the 7 would reach adulthood.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
I did read that.
Did he kill them too?
Probably took their ideas.
Probably. Wouldn't surprise me. Would not surprise me.
I will say this though, I'm glad that it's inspiring you, Dayvid, to give these people credit, because we have to rewrite history because we've been taught wrong. And there's nothing against my mom's generation or my grandparents' generation, but it was basically sit down, shut up, do what you're told, go to work, come home, be with your family. And now that we're consciously being aware that things that we've been taught and told from our parents and our grandparents aren't necessarily all true, that's what's digging us to like dive deeper into like finding things. And it is still a mystery. We still don't have all the answers, but at least we're understanding who deserves credit, who maybe doesn't deserve credit. On the first podcast I ever did, I told this guy, I said, somebody called me Conspiracy Bae. They just like dubbed me that one day on Instagram. And I thought it was funny. And I was like, these people have no idea. But in third grade, I came home from school and my mom said, Miss Cole called, and she told me that you had some things to say in class. And I was like, am I in trouble? And she's like, no, you're not in trouble, honey. But she said, Miss Cole told me that she was teaching you guys about Thanksgiving, and you told the class that what Miss Cole was saying wasn't true, that it wasn't peaceful, that, like she had presented or whatever. And I had told all the kids, no, the pioneers came and they took all of their land and they gave them smallpox blankets. And I was telling these kids all these things, and the teacher got really upset and was like, oh, no, that's not what we're teaching everybody. And so my mom was kind of like, hey, I'm teaching you things here, but that's not always what the school is going to teach you. And so I learned at a very young age that the stuff that they were teaching us wasn't always accurate. And it was to their agenda of teaching us what they wanted. But I remember that in third grade specifically. And I'm 34. So this is a while ago, like 1997 or so. But I was like, oh my gosh, no, that's not the story that my mom told me. It was absolutely not peaceful.
Yeah. It's interesting. In elementary school, they teach you that Thanksgiving was founded on, like you said, peaceful meetings and whatnot. And then Christopher Columbus founded America and was this amazing explorer from Spain and blah 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 blah.
Never
And
set
then
foot on our land.
no, he was in the Bahamas. Like, the fuck? He was never even in America.
Then he called the American indigenous people Indians because he thought he was in India.
That's what they
moron.
What they say technically.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't you? Why would you call
Native
them anything
Americans
else?
aren't even native to America. We came over on the fucking
through Alaska, the Bering Strait or whatever.
When the bridge was connected during Pangea, bro.
Yeah, they were.
We migrated.
I found out
if you
that
go all the way back to Africa to find the originals, right? That's where we all come from.
Yes. Yes.
I'm part Native American, and when I went to go look at the region on my like DNA thing, I thought it would be in North America, and it is, but it's in Mexico. So like my Native American roots come from Mexico. And it said it did a little bit come up in like the west side of the United States, but most of it was centered down in Mexico, which I thought was pretty interesting.
Yeah.
How many percentage did you have?
So someone told me I'm 23% not white. So I'm actually I'm 13% Filipino, and then I'm 10% Native American. And the rest is a bunch of other little stuff, but
50% Native American.
Nice.
Apache.
That's awesome. I've been really getting into that lately, and just my heritage. I don't know that side of my family, but it is a part of me and who I am spiritually. And I've been loving like seeing all the like tribal stuff and their just like, I don't know, the outfits that they would wear during their ceremonies and stuff. I've been just like trying to reach out and like go to maybe like different powwows and stuff, because I want to know my heritage and my history of where I come from, because the world we're living in now is so disconnected, and like it's really sad, but I try my best to like connect with, I guess I want to say my ancestors, but yeah, in a way.
Yeah. I'm part
That's
native
wonderful.
as well. I'm native and French. I grew up going to powwows and shit. My dad's side is the native side, and he used to dress me up with like headdresses and shit when I was a baby.
Cool, man. That's
So
cool. Were you a
it's
product of the French Indian War?
probably most
Could
likely
be. Yeah.
it was in this a lot of the tribes from this region fought in the French Indian War. So the French really liked native women. We'll say that.
I can say, and Alex, I want to touch on your point here, is that self-education, I
Yes.
think, is really, really important. And what Kevin is telling us is something, the story he's telling us is something that you would have to dig for yourself. And, I always refer to stuff like this is like a rabbit hole, which is where I came up with my name, right? It's very important to self-educate and not take what you've learned as complete 100% fact. You need to research yourself, figure out stuff for yourself, understand stuff for yourself. And I think it's a real important thing today to do. You have to do these things. You have to learn about your past. You have to learn about things that you thought were a certain way. You have to really dig deep. You have to question everything. You definitely have to question every single thing you've ever been taught. Take a look at it, go down that rabbit hole, learn things that you probably didn't know beforehand, and you'll actually come out better on the other side, learning stuff, learning new stuff, finding new facts. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I will say we're in a society now where they put formal education on this pedestal. So if you're talking about something that you don't have a formal education about, you automatically don't know what you're talking about. Which I've said this in a few podcast episodes now, where you don't have to be formally educated to know things. You can read, you can research and stuff all on your own. I will say that LaPrince had no formal education into, or was it LaPrince? Yeah, he didn't. He did go to school for painting
Mm-hmm.
and stuff for the arts, but he had no formal education in photography or I mean there was no cinematography at the time, and he invented that, so he didn't have like an actual formal education in any of the things that he was doing. The only education that he got for photography was when he was a young child from, the guy who invented photography. So, and I believe Edison too. Edison didn't have formal education. So to put formal education on this pedestal that you're automatically better than everybody else is, to me, is a little ridiculous. I'm not saying that they don't know things,
True. Yeah.
but I feel like school is just a regurgitation of, well, I mean, most things when you're learning, you're regurgitating information. But I think to continually look into things is better than having some kind of certificate saying that I passed school.
I used to work at this university where I was in IT. And I remember when I first got there, I was so happy because I was going to be working with professors and like the smartest people. I was like so into this. Yeah, this is going to be cool. So I started meeting some of these professors, right? And helping them with their IT issues and whatnot. Oh my God, I was so fucking disappointed. Some of these people were fucking dumb. I'm telling you, I was shocked how dumb some of these people. Now, don't get me wrong, not all of them were dumb. There were some really intelligent people there, right? I got to have wonderful conversations with really like smart ass people, but dude, there was a whole other side of these people, and some of these professors were dumb as fuck. I was shocked and disappointed, really disappointed.
It's crazy that I mean, most people don't know this, but I've never been to school for photography. I've taught myself everything. So anything that you see, like you can go back to like my first pictures, at the bottom of my Instagram, and you can see my development of how I came to be. But I just love taking pictures, and my aunt told me either you need to get help for this or you should look into doing this professionally because you take so many pictures, it's insane. And I just did this as a kid, just always taking pictures and just always kind of trying to show everybody how I was viewing life through my eyes. And there's times where I wish I had a camera in my eyeballs because I'm like, oh my gosh, wish I could take that picture for everybody to see, but I can't. But I've never gone to any schooling. I've never done any online classes. I do very minimal Photoshop. So I think that's what's kind of like special about mine is I make sure my pictures, it's always about lighting. So sometimes though, when I am shooting with other people, I kind of feel dumb in a way because I'm like, I'm not at the level that they are with like schooling and stuff. But then I see how they're struggling because they're thinking so hard about it. And I'm just over here rolling around in the creek, trying to get the best shot and and just being in the moment instead of worrying about all the technical things that go with it. If you know a few things, you can run with it, really.
Yeah.
What's your Instagram? Is it Shae Photography?
Yeah, so it's ASHAE_photography.
Got it.
I'm already
looking at it
following
now.
you.
I'm following you back.
Okay.
Right now, as of right now.
No, you're okay. I was like, I think when you said where you were from, down the rabbit hole, it's like, wait a second. I know that Instagram.
Yay!
I posted some of your stuff before too, but it's so hard to keep up with everybody. I told Kevin, I'm like, oh my gosh, like I try to follow everybody and share everybody's stuff or like everybody's stuff, but the algorithm doesn't help me either. So I went through and starred everybody last night. I put, oh, Kevin's my favorite. Oh, Rabbit Hole's going to be just so I can see your guys' stuff because it's just so filled with nonsense and sponsored ads. And I'm like, I don't want that. I need conspiracies, please.
Yes.
That red moon is magnificent.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, that was the strawberry moon that just happened. And then the Jason Voorhees pictures. So my son loves Jason and he knows the story about Jason. And so he wanted to take the pictures of him as a kid because Jason's story starts out as him being bullied as a child at the camp. So him recreating that was like him being that monster, but as a child almost in a way. It was really cool.
That is good.
We go to
really, really good.
I've rented out the Missouri State Penitentiary. I try to do things legally. Like my friend that I do photography with, he always, even if it's an abandoned house, he will find the person who owns it and he will try to get permission so that we don't break the law. But yeah, we have a lot of fun. It's an experience. It's not a photo shoot. We have an experience, really.
I love the picture of the cardinal.
That is thank you.
Really awesome.
Yeah.
Really good.
It's fun. It's my therapy and I enjoy it. I told Kevin, like, I help other people with their trauma. So like the gentleman who's in the straitjacket in the penitentiary, he actually went to not Missouri State Penitentiary, but he did go to another penitentiary and he saved his jumpsuit and I invited him out. I didn't tell him what we were like really getting into, but I wanted to help him process it. And he said it was like one of the most spiritual experiences that he had because he got to process his time in prison. And he said it was really hard when we walked in because they locked the door behind you. And he was like, it was like PTSD immediately when they shut that door. And he was like, I don't know if I can do this. And then, as the day went on and progressed, and then at the end, he's standing outside the prison and he's just got his arms out and he's just like looking up at it. And it was just like one of the coolest moments because it was like I got to help him like process that time in his life that I don't think he ever thought he would ever step foot inside a prison willingly, you know what I mean? And then to make art from his time. That was a really special. I want to
there's a shot of this guy that appears to be in a straitjacket and screaming with his eyes kind of rolled back in his head. Is that the guy you're talking about?
Yeah.
Is that him?
Yes. Yeah.
Wow. So you got him comfortable enough to do that.
I know. And the one of him at the top where he's in the gas chamber and there's a gentleman that's standing outside the door. That's when he told my friend, hey, look, Alex invited me here, but she didn't tell me that it was going to get real weird. And I was like, oh man. And I felt really bad. And as he's telling the story, we're like putting like these like restraints on his neck, on his arms, on his ankles, and like setting him in this chair where he was literally so vulnerable. Like he went to like the deepest parts of his vulnerability for that. And I was really happy that he did, because it was that, like, that picture almost makes me want to cry, because like he was there at one point. He was there, you know, and he felt that way. He felt like he was alone and he was going crazy, and you know, and I got to capture that for him, and like he'll remember that forever. And I love that, because I don't, people are like, oh, you could take pictures and make so much money of families and people, and it's like, okay, well, that's great, but that's not what I want to do. That's not who I am.
That's not your passion.
That's
right.
not, yeah. And I feel like when people want me to do a podcast too, and it, for me, like the photography, I don't want to get paid for it, because once I make it a job, I don't want to lose my passion for it. I don't want to lose what it's doing for me, because it does so much for me. Like, people don't understand that when I can help people like that, that's when it's like, wow, like I affected somebody. Or like if I take a picture, I had one time, there's this picture, it's in the prison, and it's the Heath Ledger Joker mask that's just like sitting in a corner. And I was working at a bar, and this gentleman, his son had passed away from an overdose, and he was fighting in courts against the pharmaceuticals for helping cause his son's death. And we talked many times, because I was the bartender, and so I'd always just help him by talking with him. Well, one day I was like, yeah, I do photography, and I was showing him my photography, and he looked at it and he said, wow, he goes, I never in a million years thought that a picture would remind me of my son. And I was like, wait, what? And he started crying, and he just said, I never thought a picture would like move me to like feel this way. He's like, but you know, to him, it made him feel a certain way. To other people, it might make them like be like, oh, wow, that's awesome. But to him, it just like struck a chord with him. And he was just like, that is absolutely like the most beautiful picture I've ever seen. And I think it was just because maybe he thought that his son was like trapped and felt alone or whatnot with his addiction. And it made him feel something. And it's like one moment in time, years later, helped this man like think about his son. And I was like, wow, like what I'm doing is like actually really like affecting people. Like I'm making art, but my art is like really, really helping people. And so that's when I was like, I'm not doing this for money. I'm doing this for experiences. And like, you know, maybe I will get to that point at one day, but it's just been fun. Like the girl that's going through the door, that I just got invited to some girls, like we're doing a Victorian photo shoot with a bunch of photographers, and everybody wants you there. And everybody was all serious business, and I was just running around taking weird pictures. The guy had a really cool knife, and you know, we just it's just fun. I don't know how to describe it, but I would think it would be fun. I want to do like a group with like all of us like cryptid podcast people, and I think it would be fun to like, I don't know, make some art with people. I have a girl who has this like really cool like Wendigo. Her husband made it, but it would just look so cool for a photo shoot, I think. And just like, I don't know, helping. I want to help other people, like helping, you know, you guys with your stuff. And I just love supporting other people who are also, you know, Kevin's got his hot sauces. Like I think I've been telling everybody about that. I just think that's like the coolest thing. I want to make my own Sasquatch beef jerky. Like I'm just, he inspired me to do that. And like I have this little turkey named Jerry, and I wanted to make Jerry's jerky. I want to make Jerry's jerky. It's just so cool meeting everybody, and just like all of us are artists in a way, and we're all inspiring each other to not only learn about history, learn about the sides of the world that nobody wants to talk about, you know, that's been forgotten, the folklores, the stories, whatever you want to call them. But I just really have enjoyed doing this and talking with you guys. You were like subjects Thomas Edison. I'm like, let's go.
Yeah. That picture though, that picture with the guy screaming in the thing, it looks like a film still. It looks like it's a part of some motion picture. like the
That's so
Joker or
cool.
something.
I've always wanted to
Yeah.
make movies too, but I don't. I'm one of those penny people. I don't. I'm not Thomas Edison.
I love cinematography. Part of a movie, it's one of my ways I rate movies is if the cinematography is fantastic. It raises the whole thing, and you need to have an eye for that. You need to be talented enough to be able to say, I need to put this visual in this movie because it can relate to whatever,
Yeah,
right?
I think that's
And
how
you
my
have
brain
that. You
works.
have that ability.
Yeah,
With you have the eye basically. You can
I
see
definitely
something.
do. And I'm like, people, when they do photo shoots with me, sometimes like a long time ago, they'd be like, "Oh, what should I do with my hand?" And I'm like, I don't know. What do you normally do with your hand? I'm not gonna. Yeah, like, I'm like, don't be weird, please. I mean, be weird, but don't be that weird, okay? But I don't like telling people what to do. But if I'm in a moment, like I tell people, I'm not gonna tell you what to do. But if in the moment I come up with something, then I'm like, okay, let's do this, or I can see this now, or oh wow, I think if we did it this way, my brain just doesn't work like other people's, which is special because I don't think I would have the photography skills that I did if my brain wasn't wired this way.
Yeah.
We should
I
do a
will say
photo
that
shoot with me and Kevin with you. You should take pictures of us.
I think that, I mean, honestly, yeah, I love doing that. And just like I said, the experience. Yes. Get ready. Get your eyebrows waxed.
Go like this, Kevin. Show that tattoo in the neck. Let's see it.
How
Yeah.
far are we away
Look at
from
that.
each other? Like, I don't even
I'm in
know where
San
you
Antonio,
are at, Kevin.
Texas.
Missouri and Maine are.
Not close.
Wait, you're in Maine?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think that's like
A
16,
million
17
miles
hours.
away.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
maybe 20
My
hours.
coworker said her daughter just moved to Maine and she said, "Well, see you never." I was like, "Wait, what?" Like, that's kind of messed up.
Yeah, it's pretty far away. Um, but I've made it a point to start meeting people through the podcast that I've met through the podcast, and I've met a lot of people already. I mean, I've been to Tennessee, I've been to Florida. Um, I did go to Texas, but I was only driving through. But at the time, David and I weren't friends yet. So,
Aw.
Did you go through San Antonio?
maybe I don't know. I know I went through Amarillo.
Yeah.
Sorry, Amarillo.
Yeah.
And I stopped to get gas, and I was like, I got out, and then the kids wanted to go inside while I was pumping gas to get a drink, and I looked around real quick, and I was like, stay right there, and I locked my car door, and then I pumped gas while my car was locked, and my kids were in, and I was like, you guys ain't getting out unless I'm going in with you.
That's funny.
So. But I will say that I'm actually making moves to start movie making. So
Yeah.
Woo!
Boy, you know he's gonna do it too because he does everything. He says pretty much.
yeah,
He's gonna do it.
I got this camera.
Yeah.
It's not like an actual movie camera, but it's gonna suffice for now. I'm just gonna do like small form documentaries. Actually, they might not be small form. They might be like episodic documentaries.
And it's gonna be in
and
Maine, right? It's gonna be about where you're from
well, the
and all that.
I mean, the first one's gonna be about my hometown, about the paranormal activity, about the history, about I know there's a thing between some of the citizens and the police that I'm probably gonna try and touch on if I can. There's been murders here, so
You know, I just posted a video yesterday, and it was about Maine. It was a family that I guess they were in an Airbnb or something, kind of in the remote section of Maine, and they filmed something outside. So they were looking, and just outside of view, like where the light, you could see a tall figure with super long arms and super long legs, just standing there. And I thought, well, that's
it's a
not
Wendigo.
because it's
Oh,
too
was it like
it's
a
too
shadow
thin.
type figure?
It
or
looked like a shadow, but then you could
Yeah.
see an actual figure.
Body.
It's a super tall, and only people I know in Maine is Kevin. I was like, well, this thing doesn't even have muscles, so it's not Kevin. The other guy I know is Scott, and I was like, well, this is Finn. It's not Scott. Can't be. So I don't know, but it was spooky as hell. And I'll post something if it's creepy to me. If it's super creepy, that was creepy. Could have been a dude, just a regular dude. Could have been.
David, I'm gonna have to send you some stuff after we get off because I don't know if you've seen any of my stuff, but I have some really weird.
Yes.
I don't even want to call them birds. I don't even know what you'd call these things, but they're really
send
creepy.
It to me, please. Yes.
Like super creepy.
Yeah.
I forget who I send stuff to, so I'll send it to you and just get your thoughts because it's pretty weird. So
thank you.
Sounds right up your alley.
It is.
I'm down for that.
Interesting, but I gotta get going. And then maybe you guys can take a nap because I know you guys got up super early for this, and I appreciate it very much. Like I don't know how much. I don't think you understand how much I appreciate you guys getting up this early just to record.
You know,
this
I'd do
with
anything for you, bro.
Yeah.
You know it.
Same. If you said 3 a.m., I would have been up at 3 a.m. So
no,
But
you
that
would
late-
not.
that
have.
girl
Do not
who-
lie
who-
to me, lady.
What is that girl's name? Who we're doing this for this early? What's her name?
Natalie Rusticelli.
I got a bone to pick with you, Natalie. All right. I could have slept the whole night, but no. Thank you, Natalie.
She's a super sweet lady, very knowledgeable, which is why we did this super early. She's in Australia, so it would have been her nighttime after she put her kids to bed and stuff like that. So, which is why I chose this time, but she got confused and thought we were recording tomorrow, technically, because Australia is almost 24 hours in front of us.
Right.
Oh.
So,
Or are they?
Or are they?
Well, thank you for having me on, Kevin. Again,
yeah, thanks for coming on.
Again.
Always. The door's always open for you, bro. Always.
Love you, big dog.
Yeah.
Yeah, love
Thank you so much for having us, Kevin.
Well, thanks for being here. If I didn't have people like you to talk with, I'd just be talking to my damn self, and I don't know if that would be entertaining, but I would do it. I just don't know if it would be great. You know,
I'd watch it. That's for sure.
So, David, if you don't mind, one more time before we get out of here, letting the good people know where they can find you.
Down the Rabbit Hole on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, everywhere. Also, the co-host of One Nothing Podcast. Please follow us on Instagram and listen to our show with Amanda Goodwin. She's amazing. And I have merch out there. It's just go to my page, click on the links, and you can see all my. I have this. This is a new design I just made. I love this.
Dope.
Yeah, daddy like. And I also have a Redbubble out there, so it's Deeper Down TRH Redbubble, and this is all just AI art. I hope you love it. So check it out.
And Alex, one more time, let the good people know where they can find you.
Yeah, you can find me on Instagram, and my name on Instagram is Shae_photography, spelled ASHAE_photography. Check out my pictures. I post reels basically daily of any documentaries I watch or movies that I love. Anything weird, dark. But yeah, I think you should also go follow Kevin, and you should also go follow David because they all post great content and all the weird shit that you could want.
Your photos are awesome, man. I'm looking at them right now.
David, for real.
You guys have got to check her out. Follow her.
Oh my gosh, guys.
The real deal. The real deal. I'm telling you.
I'm so glad I got to meet you, David, because I've been following you for a while, and it's just good to put a face with the name and to hear your voice and to connect with you.
For a long while there, he didn't even post his face for a really long time. It was, I was like, who the fuck is this guy? Why is he talking to me?
Do you have like an unmasking?
I kind of did a year in. I decided to go ahead and I thought I was going to scare everybody away and I wouldn't have any more followers, if I showed this mug. I was talking to Kevin because I liked his podcast. I was like, oh my God, Kevin's interviewing this friend of mine, and now Kevin's interviewing that friend of mine. And I was sharing his podcast on my channel, and we got to talking, and I was like, oh, he's gonna invite me next. I can't wait, and he didn't for a long time because he didn't see this. He was like,
Yeah.
I don't know who you are. He actually said, I don't know who you are. Who are you? I don't know.
Oh my gosh.
Oh man, the journey has been fun. And with that being said, that is today's show, everybody. I hope you enjoyed it. Please like, follow, share, subscribe, do all that bullshit. Leave a rating and review. I would greatly appreciate it. If your podcatcher doesn't allow you to do so, you can leave a rating and a review on the website, which Alex has done, and I'm grateful for that. I enjoyed reading that, and I meant to message her several times now, and every time I think about messaging her to say thank you for said comment, or review, I should say, I forget, and I don't know why. But, so we're here together face to face, kind of, sort of. So thank you, Alex, for that, for saying all those nice things. I greatly appreciate it. It makes me feel really weird when I get compliments and stuff. So, but I will say, I also have hot sauce if you guys are interested, which is on the website. Merch is on the website as well. And you can check out my Down the Rabbit Hole inspired hot sauce if you feel so inclined to get some hot sauce. So
It's good. It's real good.
Is it? Have you tried it yet?
Yes.
Good.
And we're
good.
we're doing that
tomorrow.
Are we not?
What
You're gonna be
flavor
there?
is it?
Here we are. It's
carrot inspired flavor.
Yeah.
Ginger.
It's got carrots. It's got. The fuck did I put in it? It's ginger, garlic, carrots. It's got cayenne, habaneros.
I love
It's
hot
fucking
sauce,
hot.
so when I saw that, I was like, "Oh wow, a hot sauce made just for me with the cryptids."
Yeah, I'm also gonna. I just made a new flavor with strawberries, and it's super hot. And
Ooh.
the label
Is
is
that murder
currently
juice?
murder juice. Yeah,
Murder juice.
it's the label is currently in development, and I'm probably gonna do a revision of my labels as well for the other hot sauces. So, I lost
Maybe one
my.
day me and you can collaborate and I could take photos for something like that. Like I think that would be cool, like for merch or like you said, like something maybe like hot sauces or something. Like that would be kind of cool. I just see all of us collaborating and just like doing cool shit.
Yeah, if you ever do your jerky, I would sell it on my. I would put a link to it on my website too, and I'll buy some bulk stuff and add it with like a free thing for people who
Dude,
buy hot sauce.
yeah, if we had like a package, like you buy a couple jerkies and you get some hot sauces together, little package.
Yeah,
that'd be so cool.
That would be dope as fuck, dude. Dope
I like
as
it.
Fuck. But all right, everybody. Hope you enjoyed the show. Peace the fuck out. Remember, question everything and stay weird. Bye.
I get up at 4:45 in the morning and I don't see a sign of the government anywhere. Every single day for 8.5 hours, I exchange my time for labor. I don't see the government anywhere, except for on Thursdays. Thursdays I get my paycheck. That's when the government shows up. That's when they feel they are entitled to split half of the currency I made for trading my time, my skills, my labor. This goes on throughout the year, where I'm responsible to keep records of all of this. At the end of the year, it's my responsibility to prepare all that documentation for them to review it. They then determine if their cut was large enough. If I don't meet their schedule, I face fines, fees, or the threat of being locked up in one of their cells. I guess some people call this taxation, but it doesn't meet my definition. To me, that sounds a lot more like fraud, embezzlement, and fucking slavery.